All right, all right, all right. Welcome to the stream, my friends. Welcome back to the party. We're going to talk about the markets. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. And hopefully, everything is going great with you. So far today, I shot an audio for Peak Mindset Group. Wrote, obviously, today's daily email, which wrote pretty consistently a macroeconomic email every day since last April when I started that. Yeah, and so far it's been great. There's been a lot of people that have gotten a lot out of it. I think that collectively, if you were following along, then it would have allowed you to make some really, really smart decisions. We are a bit early on calling the top. I called that, I think, originally December 6th. I was actually just going back through yesterday and trying to find the date when I called it. December 6th was very premature in terms of there's another 7.6% gain in the market. But now we've got almost a 30% drawdown. So I don't think anyone would have been able to sustain that position if they would have listened to that as advice, which I never say it is. But you would have never been able to sustain a short position and be sitting underwater almost 8%. But anyways, sometimes close, sometimes good. I mean, my batting average is pretty good, 80 or so percent, I would say. That's me being conservative. But we're going to talk about quite a bit of stuff, so I'll let you guys jump on. I believe the live stream, the CV, we're going to call it the CV. I don't know if they're still censoring. I notice Google isn't censoring as much, but YouTube definitely is. But the CV updates, I think, are still going. I think they just ended with Trump and team. So I think that's where a lot of people's attention will be here right now. No, it's still live. Still live. Maybe that's why I got nobody on. All right, check in with me in the chat. Let's see. Can you hear me? Let's start there. I had good success with the last one, but let's see. Can you hear me, yes or no? I got the adrenaline pumping. I got the caffeine pumping. I'm feeling good. Hopefully you are feeling good. Hopefully you're staying healthy. Don't mind this spot under the eye. It's not a virus. I'm okay. It just scratched my eye. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to get a rash into my eye or something. Real quick, can you hear me? Audio, yes or no? Should be good. I'm showing excellent connection. Okay, so let's dive in. So this is pretty interesting. Treasury Secretary just announced that they want to send money to your doorstep. See, I didn't think this was going to happen at first. And this is definitely to where, depending on what train of thought, which, understand, I'm apolitical. I don't care. I'm not right or left. I'm not one party or the other. More like I like the Constitution and I support that. I like personal sovereignty and I like truth. And the truth always comes out in the end. So, there's a lot of people that were thinking, obviously there's a camp of, let's call them MAGA people. And there's a lot of people that believe that, what's going on with the administration is this big fight of the deep state and all that, right? Now, I follow it. I'm very well versed in what that whole thought process and belief system is. And so a lot of the naysayers were saying, well, they're just taking care of corporations. Well, it's technically the Fed is taking care of corporations while working with the Treasury. Okay, so they're doing bailout after bailout. If you've been following the daily emails, you know what's going on with that. I mean, hundreds of billions of dollars now every single day in the repo markets, in the bazooka cannons that they're shooting out. 700 billion didn't do it on Sunday. They're reanalyzing that now and got some new ideas that they're essentially bailouts, corporate bailouts that got rolled out today. But now that they're talking about for the American people, I think it'll be funny to see what the naysayers say, because they're looking to give the American people a check. Okay, yeah, so I want to catch up on a lot of different stuff. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start at probably the most common conversation that's happening right now, which is, what is going on? Is this like a good guy versus bad guy? Is this like they're trying to get, Trump is trying to get rid of the Federal Reserve? And I've heard all the wild stories, okay? So just understand that even though I don't talk about that stuff here, it's because you really, I don't want to, because I feel like my channel's already fucked enough and already snowballed into oblivion. So I don't think I want to like burn it to the ground and go deep into these topics. But just understand, again, I follow these threads. But one of the threads going on right now is that Bitcoin was the test, and that we are going to ditch fiat currency. And this whole thing was a great idea to get people to lock down travel, so the bad guys couldn't run away. To basically expose the. I mean, what is it exposed? Essentially, so far, it's exposed the CDC and the FDA, which those are bullshit organizations. If you've been paying attention in the medicine realm and pharmaceutical corporation companies and all that, like that whole niche doesn't necessarily need to exist. There's a lot of natural stuff we have that would take care of a lot of problems. You go travel to the east, you start to see that that's very, very true. Herbal medicine, Ayurvedic medicine works very, very well, which is why it's been around for thousands of years. But anyway, so those three-letter organizations have had an interesting light shined on them recently. And so the thought process is that light's going to keep shining, and what's going to happen next is that the Fed will get cock-slammed, and that they're going to be next to go. They're going to get rid of fiat. They're going to roll out some sort of digital currency, and it's going to be backed by gold. What's funny is that I've talked about this quite a bit, but the last time I talked about it was January 21st, and I highlighted the section of what I said. And this is the truth, guys, is, hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for joining in. Hey, really glad to see a couple of you jumping in for the first time. I know you've been trying to catch the live streams. The whole global monetary system is a joke, okay? You can't sit here and say, like, the fiat's a joke, but Ripple's going to save the world, or fiat's a joke, but Bitcoin's the best. It's all a joke, okay? It's all a joke. And it doesn't matter who created all of these things, and none of them are here to save you. The thought process of somebody's going to save me, somebody's going to protect me, the government's going to take care of me, those are all bad thoughts, because they steal your sovereignty, they steal your personal power, and they disempower you. And I'm against that. So whoever facilitates that sort of languaging and that sort of message, I'm against, and I don't like, because you should be your own vessel. You should be your own, pillar. You should build out your pillars, your family legacy, and operate it in a much different way than most people do. We'll save that for another time. So the global monetary system is a big Ponzi scheme. It's the last guy in is getting fucked. I don't care how you look at it. Corporate hierarchy structure is set up that way. One guy at the top, everybody else flows down. I mean, it is kind of laughable that they've always gone after these MLM companies and stuff like that and called them a Ponzi scheme, when in reality the whole thing is. And you got to be okay with that and accept that at some degree if you're going to play the game. And if you're not going to play the game, then you're not even watching me. So I don't, but you're off grid, you're, living off the land, and you're completely living in a completely different reality. Okay. But the system itself is a big Ponzi scheme, and I'm okay with that, because I like the money tool, and I like what it does for my life. I like what it can provide for me, how it can help me grow my legacy, how it can help me reach more of you to provide value to you. Like, come on. So anyways, that's the thought process kicking around right now in certain circles, okay, is that they're going to collapse the whole thing. This is all done on purpose. They're going to arrest all the bad guys. They're going to get rid of fiat. The Fed is going to go away, and they're going to roll out some sort of digital currency. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I feel that that's going to happen. I don't feel it's going to happen in my gut, so that would tell me no. I do think that this will be a catalyst for something big. I think it was interesting that Trump went from this is going to be all over with in April, which facilitated a certain set of ideals, to just yesterday, well, now July or August. So maybe it's going to take much longer than expected. Another thing I find very, very interesting is, through December, January, February, Trump was like somewhere different every single week. It being exposed to many people that had corona already and didn't know it. And maybe even being a carrier, but he tested negative. How is that possible? How is it possible for any VP Pence, for Mike Pompeo, for anybody who's been in that circle for the last 60 days? Mike Getz is self-quarantined. A couple others, I think, self-quarantined. What's going on? So it either proves that, yes, there are certain people who have antibodies built in and they're not as susceptible, and other people are going to get it really, really bad, which is usually true for a flu or any sort of viral thing, right? We've all seen that. So Anyways, I thought that was interesting, and I'll give you my own personal experience here with all of this. Is, you know, my soon wife to be has corona right now. We just figured it out over the last couple days. It's been, at first it was really really stressful. I'm not gonna lie, like I spent most of that day crying and being upset and fucking screaming and yelling, and yeah, it's just I think that's kind of normal to deal with. Something like that when you first hear about it, and then, you know, because that was all emotion, and obviously I had a ton of pent up emotion, and then logic kind of creeps its way back in, and rationale creeps its way back in, right? Which is what makes great traders, that makes great investors, is having the ability to allow that to happen first and foremost, but then being able to take away something from it. You got to understand something about Indonesian people. That's the nationality of my soon-to-be wife is she's Indonesian, and they fucking live with a lot of shit on a day-to-day basis. You know, you got to understand that it's a very moist environment, so they're living with insane levels of mold and bacteria count that most of us in America would be calling any three-letter agency we could if we saw it on our door, right? Like you go down to Florida and there's like black mold on a door and everybody loses their fucking mind. And they come in with the masks, and they quarantine the whole fucking building, and they spray down the doors, and they disinfect the whole thing, right? Well, dude, that exists like everywhere in Bali, which is why I got sick, because I'm a white guy. I'm from the Midwest. We're not used to that level of like mold, bacteria count in the air every day. And for them over there, they're used to that all the time. And they also look at being sick very differently than we do. If I start to get flu-like symptoms, I say I'm sick. And that starts this whole journey of like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of being sick. What's interesting over there, and this is true for Thailand, Cambodia, and Indonesia. It's not true for South Korea, who gets 4 seasons, Japan, who gets 4 seasons, China, who gets 4 seasons. And not true for those countries. Is that, you know, they'll get a flu, they'll pick up a flu, and then it's gone the next day. They'll pick up a flu, and then it's gone a couple days later. So it's important to remember, like, you know, DNA is different. I don't care what anyone says. It's not that you have slanted eyes because you're born in that part of the country. I really believe that we're talking about different DNA. You know, there's different muscular structures and different colored skin and different, ethnicities. And we'll end it there so I don't get any strikes or anything. But we are fundamentally all different variations of the same species, okay? And that happened somehow. And so anyways, they're used to dealing with a large amount of mold and a large amount of bacteria in the air. They're passing flus daily, which is why if you look, it's pretty interesting. You don't see shit on the map in Indonesia. And you don't see a whole lot happening in Thailand. You don't see a whole lot happening in Cambodia. And these super, super moist and hot climates. Okay, so I find that very interesting. And so some people think, well, it's just because they're not reporting it. It could be, and it also could be that it's just because they pick up and dump so quick all these different viral flu things that they can't really tell the difference. So anyways, yeah, I got her on stuff that I'm not going to talk about because I don't want to get into trouble with the YouTube algorithms. But I got her on stuff that is it works. It's worked for a very long time. It's natural kind of medicine. And so anyways, I'm not really worried about it at all. And so that should be to her tomorrow because supply chain is still pretty good over there. And so anyways, that's going to handle that. But I guess my point with that is that I think there's two things fundamentally that I wish I could be talking about, and I wish more people would be looking at. We don't understand our biology that much. I really don't think we do. We don't understand just how much crap is out there that we're breathing, experiencing all day, every day. There's all kinds of mystery substances that we breathe in, goes into our cells, goes into our skin all day long, and we're fine because our body creates antibodies and antigens to it, and then it just handles it, right? To go back and touch on just one final piece about in Asia is like, you gotta understand in Asia, they eat with their fingers. They work in the rice fields all day long, dirt. And then they sit down and they're working their face off all day long. And then they sit down and they're eating the rice with their hands. They haven't sanitized 50 times. They're not like getting in line 2 hours at Costco to get fucking Purell. They just eat with their shit dirt hands because there's cow poop in the in the in the crops. Okay, let's not forget that. So they got their hands in shit and dirt all day long, and then they eat with those hands. They don't care. They don't die either. They're fine. So I think we fundamentally don't really understand what we're even capable of on that front, let alone like capability wise. But like biologically, we don't really understand what we can create antibodies for and really get through. And in America, it's so easy to really deny this, is because it's like, look, you got cancer, you got HIV, you got all this shit that kills you. And it's propped up by the medical industry, and it's propped up by drugs. And it's like, yes, this is serious. Take it very serious. There's no cure. You're going to pass on from this. And so I just think fundamentally we're very, we don't really understand that at all. And you don't get it until you go to India and they're eating that shit in the street. And they're just, when you eat a liver or kidney in the street, which they do in India, that has hepatitis A in it, okay, right? Because hepatitis B is the STD. I think it's Hep A, which is the one where it gets into your blood and it kills you. They're eating that stuff on the street raw. Like there's this guy just cooking on the side of the street. Dirt. A dirt storm just came in, or there's dirt in the air, and they're cooking it, a little liver on the street, and then you eat it on a stick. Like I said, there's a lot we're missing here with this. And so again, I can totally appreciate, totally understand everybody who is, getting prepared. And this is a big wake up call for a lot of people to be prepared. I think this gives like huge credit to all the preppers and all the Facebook groups and whatnot that for years have been saying, you got to be prepared for these things, is because you just should be prepared for those things. Being that comfortable and taking that much for granted that you only stockpile a week's worth of water or a couple days worth of water is insane to me. And I don't think that's like with this now, that's not even like prepper stuff. Prepper stuff is now moved. The goal line is now moved for like what is insane conspiracy theory and what is not, which I think is good, because a healthy bit of skepticism, healthy bit of preparing for worst case scenarios is not a bad thing, right? So anyways, let's now pivot back to market talk. Okay, so I brought this up yesterday. I wanted to, so all of you would know too, is all of the daily macro emails, which I did pivot quite a while ago to premium, and I give a few for free per week, but all the daily emails are now free for everybody until this is all passed. I know that I'm not the only one talking macroeconomic data, but I did want, if you resonate with my voice, if you like, my message, I want you to have access to the information without having to pay for it. I feel like grifting in times like this, like I'll grift right now, which is me doing this live stream. I'll make revenue off this live stream, very little, like fucking $20 or less. But on this stuff, I want to make sure that everyone has access to the data. So yesterday I made that announcement, and if you haven't been following along, you should be following these daily emails. They just recap all of the shit that's happening with the Fed, with the stimulus packages rolling out the doors from the IMF, the World Bank, and other central banks. And then obviously the nice steady stream of additional data that will help support you make the best decision. And that's been my goal all along. Is my goal when I started this back in April of 2019 was that, I'm right about a lot of shit. And, I feel good about that, and I get shy and kind of feel like maybe I just get shy and weird about it as well. I am right about a good amount of stuff. I'd say maybe 80%, okay? Sometimes the timing is off, but a lot of it I'm right about. And that pivot really happened after I was so wrong in 2017 with the Bitcoin market, is because I had the feelings that something was going wrong, but I was too oblivious to them, and I caught that bug. I caught that everything is going to go up forever bug, and it's never going to come down, and I lost a lot of money. And so after that point, I said, okay, I'm going to overemphasize and put way more trust into my natural gut feeling, into my research, into these hypotheses and theories that I'm creating, and we're going to run with that. And since then, the strike rate has been pretty high. I don't do calls. I don't say buy, sell. I don't like that shit at all. And I don't like the pressure that I feel, because I'm oftentimes like wrong with my timing in terms of like I'm early or I'm a little bit late. And so anyways, yeah, so one thing that we did get pretty spot on was, Oh, that's what I wanted to show you next. Let me bring up some charts. We're going to flow into chart talk here. Is I started saying that was the top on December 6th. That was I think that was the first email I wrote. But up until that point, I'd already put out, in November, I put out the 2020 recession checklist. I was dumping data about black swans and the potential for that, is because it's so weird how this happens, but it just seems that when everything is going good, it's just more likely that a black swan will happen. It's just more likely that somebody's going to come out and pull the rug out from underneath everyone. So just as euphoria is pumping, and it was pumping, right? And the impeachment bit did throw it off a little bit, but then it was like right back, because then it was like, okay, phase one deal happens during that, and then we're meeting with the Taliban, and a peace deal's happening for the first time. It's like, what the fuck? India, and there's this huge celebration, like rock star or something for the president, and it's like there's all these amazing things going on, and then all of a sudden there was the rug pull. So just when everything was really, really good, boom, it hits you. And the subprime mortgage market, I think in 2008 was a little bit different. Everyone was seeing that in 2006. It was very easy to make that call correctly, because, you know, so for the Peter Schiffs, and there's about a half dozen guys who got that call dead on the nuts, and very few who profited from it, okay? Very few. And you can watch The Big Short and kind of understand this better. Great movie, by the way. But, you know, there's very few who actually put skin in the game and profited from that. And then after that happened, there was like this surgence of like just blue check marks and analysts and doom and gloomers. And it just seemed like it was popular then to talk about the market's going to eventually collapse. And so for the last 10 years, there was a whole large group of people that were just talking shit all the time. Market's going to go down. Market's going to go down. I mean, look at Zero Hedge. Just go back to some of the stuff that Zero Hedge talked about in 2016. I mean, they were like, oh, we're minutes away from the end. So you can't really live a happy life when living like that. First off, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be on edge all the time. And they were wrong. And now they're right. But dude, you've been wrong for 10 years. And now finally you get it right. It's like you can't really take a victory lap for saying your whole life that the markets suck and that they're going to go down. I don't know. I just don't agree with that. But anyways, I started talking about it on December 6th. The market rallied another 7.56%. And now it is down. Well, the worst of it was almost 30, right? Yeah, 30%, which matches the 2008, 2009 subprime mortgage collapse and GFC, Great Financial Crisis. But we've obviously pulled back even today. I had that from earlier this morning. So today we're flipping. And we're flipping right now so aggressively is because Trump just did his daily report. So you'll notice that when the Fed announces stimulus, or like, you know, the Treasury Secretary just announced that they're going to send a fucking check to your front door. Why wouldn't the markets rally right now? I'm surprised that they haven't, you know, gone ape shit. But it just proves that you're not going to really see a significant rally until we get there's a vaccine announcement. So phase one testing is going on right now, but you won't really see people like, until we got a vaccine. Now, a lot of you watching this, vaccine is fucking bullshit. But, I mean, to regular people, they're going to love this shit. And they're going to eat it up, and it's going to pump the market. Now, I will say that when we do get this pump, it will be a pump that I think will be larger than you've ever seen. It'll look like a Bitcoin pump. So all my crypto people, you'll just be like, oh, wow, this looks good. This looks like crypto. But for regular traditional guys, they will be, once again, losing their mind about it. And of course there'll be some reason why it was a injection, everyone got a check sent in the mail, vaccine, right? There's always a reason. But I guess my point is that two things is, one, yesterday I made a misstatement and I said I thought I was about a couple weeks off. I look back, I was well over 4 weeks off on this call, saying that the top was in, and you wouldn't have been able to sustain a 7-point rally above that, nor would you have wanted to. But a lot of people started to offload through this period. Gold, which hit all-time highs, well, not all-time highs, but all-time highs for what we've seen over the last couple of years, that have been holding since 17 and 18. That picked up at 1280 to 1320. They were selling at 1700s during this time, 16 and 1700s. And we had a lot of people reposition their portfolio, especially during this time. So I started looking really right about right here when we saw this. So what was that? Not even a month later, I started looking like, oh, maybe I was right. And a lot of people started rebalancing their portfolios and offloading because we're seeing Tesla all-time highs in here. What else did we see? We saw, we're obviously seeing Dow and, NASDAQ and S&P highs through this whole time. And so there was a lot of people that were like, okay, they heard the message from myself and many others who were like, maybe this is getting oversold. Maybe this is getting a bit oversold, right? Anyways, so yeah, and now if you hitched a ride when things really started going south, and I started talking like, okay, I think we're in it now. I started talking about that at about 15%, which was right here. And then we just continued. This was a relief rally, which I mentioned in the premium Discord channels. There's very few people in there. And I said, sell off if you haven't already. And that turned out to be pretty good too. So you're never going to get it all right. And that's not the point. The point is, and my goal myself with my own portfolio, with the money that I invest on behalf of is, look, I just want to get 2-3 things right in a year. I don't give a fuck about anything else. And I'm gonna mess up 70-80% of the time. But because I have a risk management plan, because I have stops set in place, I'm usually not gonna get hosed. Okay, it still happens from time to time, especially in crypto. I got hosed on that just the other week when it completely took a shit, and then the cascading algorithms kicked in, and I think we risked going to zero. And there's been like 3 or 4 other analysts now in the crypto space that are very trustworthy people that have said similar things. Is I think that if BitMEX wouldn't have shut down for maintenance, if Deribit wouldn't have shut down for maintenance, we would have seen something very ugly. Of course, BitMEX will come out with their statement, which they said they will. They haven't yet, and they will deny this, and they will not talk about this because they can't. Okay, they can't just say, yeah, we almost fucked the whole market, guys. Sorry, oops. But good thing we shut down for maintenance. Because then that would open up exposure to them, and that would open up liability to them, and that would open up what? Lawsuits. So no, you never say shit like that. And it's unfortunate that you can't be honest like that, but an exchange is never going to come out and say, yeah, guys, oops, we fucked up and almost completely destroyed Bitcoin. I think it was some variation of that, though, is what we saw, okay? But anyways, yeah, I got hosed on that. But okay, so risk management and having stops in place usually stop you from getting pretty fucked, okay? And then as long as you can keep your self-esteem up, which is the number one thing in trading, is self-esteem and confidence, self-image, whatever you want to call it, is if you can keep that up, then you're in pretty good shape, and you'll be still in the game and still feeling like you're ready to play when the markets come back and the opportunities arise. So yeah, anyways, so that's that story. Markets are still down, but we see some good response from the now daily CV updates that we're getting. Do I want to go into those charts? Maybe not. Maybe I'll save those charts for another day. I've got some demographic data that I've shared just at the premium level with my group, but I want to share with you guys. I think that should get its own dedicated video, though, coming up here. How long have I been going on? 30 minutes. Wow. All right, so I only wanted this to be like 30 minutes. So questions for me? Any questions for me? Oh, so let me pull this one up. And if you're wondering, do I got a lot of tabs open? Yes, I do. I always do. But when you have a fast enough computer, then yeah, it's okay. Fear and Greed Index, let's check in on that. It was at 3. The lowest I saw was 3. I mean, I thought that thing could go negative. We're at 4. It was at 5 earlier. So extremely fearful still, as to be expected. Okay. What else did I have in here? Top was in. Yeah. Okay. Talked about that. We're going to get, I've talked about it before. You could get helicopter money from the Fed. They won't stop at anything. And that could be true. So if you guys got any questions, hit me with some questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. Yes or no? Do you feel more informed? Right? So a lot of you on YouTube right now, you want to feel more informed. You want to get answers. You want to, a little bit of it's your bias. We want to get confirmation bias, like, oh, this guy agrees with me. He's got the same viewpoints. Let me listen to him. But also too, it hopefully challenges some of the preconceived notions and views that you've got on what's going on. But I think overall, you gotta create some processes to stay in your place of power, so that the panic doesn't take you over, the chaos doesn't take you over, and then of course have cash sitting on the sides, ready to go, because there will be some monumental sized opportunities coming on the backside of this. Regardless of how deep it goes and how bad it goes, we could see a 50% retrace. Now, here's the thing I like bringing up is just like with Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes to 14,000. What's everyone talking about? Oh man, if I would have just bought in at 3,000. I wish it goes to 3,000 again. If it does, man, I'm gonna fucking second mortgage my house. I'm gonna buy, I'm gonna sell my car. I'm gonna sell my soul, and I'm gonna buy up all the Bitcoin. Bitcoin hits 3,000 again. Well, it hit 36 something, right? How many people bought? Fucking nobody bought, man. Nobody bought that shit. It's just how it is. It's just how it goes. So here we are again. Blood's in the street. Warren Buffett says that's the time to buy. Okay, we're in it now. So you might see, another 12-ish% drop. It looks like it's starting to level out at what we're seeing now. And would you buy though? If this thing completely just levels out, flatlines, 2 weeks from now we get a vaccine, are you buying? Right? That's the question to ask. And if not, why? Like, what's really getting in the way right now? Because I would assume it has something to do with confidence, or you lost all your money, which I pray that's not the case. But yeah, it's like, make sure the family's handled, make sure we got our reserves, make sure we're prepared, we got our food and supplies, okay? And then it's like, okay, let's make some motherfucking money now, okay? Let's provide for the fucking family. Let's bring home the bacon here. So let's start to get our eye on what looks good, and it might not be whole sector or area buys that you're looking at, ETFs and stuff like that. It might be individual companies that you're looking at. Let's open up the books, dust off the TradingView account or whatever you use, and let's start to look at where this company's at. You have the internet in front of you. Most of you are quarantined at home, can't go to work anyways. So outside of maybe a couple Zoom calls or Skype calls per day to check in with the office and the regular workload, like, you've got a lot of downtime, dude. You're on the stream with me right now. We can be putting in that work and putting in that research time right now to set up for what comes next. And that's what I would urge you to do. If there's one thing you take away from anything I've ever said, it's that right there, is to make a plan and work that fucking plan. All right, Sweet Slim, thanks for checking in. Appreciate that. What should you pay attention to in the next couple days and weeks is how deep and how low airlines go and casinos go, because casinos are asking for a bailout now. How low all the travel cruise lines, how low is that shit going to go? Boeing still has its 737 issues. How low is that going to dump? I've been keeping an eye on that, because that's like when I start to see indication of that bottoming out, which is like, look, the price is starting to slow down. So the big volatility, and then it's like a heartbeat, right? It looks the same way. It's the same inflection that we see, and then it starts to kind of coil up and tighten up. I mean, this is basic market stuff. And then we're looking for it to react. And so we're looking for it to react positively. Well, let's keep our eye on the news. Let's set up some RSS alerts. Let's set up some alerts that way on these individual brands and markets. Overall, what you're looking for over the next couple of days is, I mean, like I said, the market's really not going to move until vaccine announcement is made. Okay? Because what people need right now is they have to hear, we're not all going to die. We're going to be okay. And the only way they're going to hear that is vaccine. I don't know, they're going to correlate that as like, okay, vaccine equals safety. Until then, it's going to be pretty much the same shit. It's nice to see that, we had a $700 billion Fed injection. Now we got a corporate bailout being talked about. Now we got a fucking, residential bailout being talked about where everyone's going to get a check. We got payroll tax cut potentially happening throughout the rest of the year. This I didn't mention the other day, but this will be gold for those of you who are still on the line with me or come back and watch the rest of the replay, is that they just approved and greenlighted a $50 billion SBA bailout. Now, this is very interesting to me. I got to find out more. I got to dig deeper into this still, and I'll write an email about this. But, okay, first off, whenever the government gives money, the smart people will always get in line for it, okay? because they know that there's going to be so much chaos, there's going to be so much going on, that it's not like the banks are going to sit down with a checklist and say, okay, so you were affected by Corona and you want money from the SBA program. How? Show us the paper trail and the proof. Get the fuck out of here. First off, banks don't give a fuck because the government is backing the money. Now, banks don't really get too excited about SBAs because they don't make, they make money, but it's not the same for them, okay? And there's rules to the SBA program, so there's only so much money they can make. But they're more likely to not really care because they know the government's backing it. Now, if the bank was backing it, holy shit, dude. I need to know your firstborn. We need stool sample, urine sample. You better believe they would want the full Monty on that. But they're not gonna. So the safe assumption is that they're not gonna really care. They're gonna be handing out the money like Skittles. And the question is, do you want to get in line for some of this money? I'm not saying cheat the government. I'm not saying lie. I'm not saying bullshit. But I would assume that 90% of small businesses will be affected by the CV in some sort of way. So it's like, do you want to get paid or not? Do you want to make money or not? That's really the question. And obviously, I'm saying do it ethically and keep an eye on how this is affecting you. But if you're running any sort of advertising, if you've got any sort of staff, you've been affected. It's that simple. So most people will not get in line for that because they will think, I shouldn't, and mom always told me and grandma always said this, and because of guilt and shame, they won't get in line for that money. And that's why a lot of that money will go to, once again, the wrong people, because people aren't willing to get in line and fight for money that's theirs. Okay, so they'll take their little whatever stimulus we all get, $1,000. I assume it's going to be $1,000 or less. Okay, and they're just going to take that money and run. What would be epic is to see a 10K check fucking sent in the mail for everybody, because for some people that would be life changing, and that'd be great to see. Yes, will they go spend it on stupid shit? Absolutely. They'll go buy fucking Yeezys and do up the car. They will not increase or better the quality of their lives. But it'd be cool to see. And would that create euphoria in the markets? Yes, and that's what they want. We are in an infinite expansionary model. Okay, even with a 50% pullback, this motherfucker is still going up over time. The market is still going back up. Just how it works. Okay, so yeah, that's the gold, is dive in or pay attention to my email going into the depth of the SBA program and how they're going to be handing out this $50 billion so that you can get in line and you can get some. If you got an LLC or any sort of company that has a staff that does marketing and advertising that's been affected in any sort of way from this, you should be getting in line. Maybe I'll list some of the cruise line research that I've done and will be doing into the Discord, but yeah, not on the live stream. Okay, any questions? Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up. But, that's it. Yeah, I mean, specific stuff. Vitamin C is great. Zinc is really good too in low amounts. Don't overdo it. You can create toxicity pretty quick with zinc, but zinc works really, really well. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this from a lot of other people, but yeah, my strategy has been foolproof. I posted it in the Discord. I won't talk about it here, but if you want it, it's in the Discord. Go about 5 messages up in the announcements channel, and I posted my full protocol essentially. Doing CBD, turmeric. Yeah, appreciate you guys jumping in. You guys support me, so you support me by watching, you support me by buying our programs and services, donating to us on Patreon, all that shit. You guys support us, so I appreciate that. Least I can do. I want to do more streams this week because, like I said, it's grifting season. Maybe I can get this YouTube channel back up and running. Maybe we can start making some money off it and hopefully start getting some exposure, because I think that's the most important thing is, getting more people like-minded, excuse me, together, and getting them to see this message. So however you can do to help that, like it, share it, comment, hit the bell notification, subscribe if you're new, you know the game. Okay, anything else? Yeah, and I know I brought this up in the beginning of the stream. I know I got this thing. I scratched my eye the other day. I'm okay. It's not. I hope it's not anything, but I just scratched my eye. That's what that is. People be thinking accusations start going flying about what's going on with Jay, but no, I'm healthy. I feel great. Hit the gym today. Just a quick heads up in case you didn't know. Apparently, all gyms across the United States are going to be shutting down for the next 30 days. Today was the absolute last day. I had no idea. I wasn't really paying attention to that piece of it. And so, yeah, I guess I don't know if that's just a Colorado thing where I am right now, or if that's like a whole thing. But, all right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. And smash that like button. Share us around. Stay tuned. I'll be doing more live streams this week. Okay, see ya.